All right, so we're back with pick four. First pick of the day three, by the way. Wide receiver Chimere Dike out of Florida, pick 103 overall, top of the fourth round. So going over this again, previous three videos, just me going over the evaluation for the Tennessee Titans in terms of what they were thinking. How does how does these teams or how do these players, excuse me, fit with this said team? Um, Chimere Dike is a prospect that, if you ask me, has a high ceiling, and he's the type of player that is a nuisance to most defenses. That especially if Chimere Dike is in a setting that has a well-established group, and I know we're starting off rocky here, but I'm gonna keep it going. Trust me, I know. But if Chimere Dike is in a offensive or wide receiver room that has a well-established presence there, to where all of the attention is off of him and all he has to do is run his routes, he's going to be the type of player that really, for lack of better terms, pisses off a lot of defenses. Why? Because his speed is going to take a lot of players by surprise. And it just comes down to Chimere catching the pass, which we'll get to that, the good, the bad, the ugly of these prospects later. But he's the type of player that's going to be incredibly useful. His utility is awesome. His role, he can be the third or fourth Z on a team. He's a horizontal and also a field stretcher. His special teams value as a returner and a gunner. Versatile X, Z slot, punt return, kick return. If you put him on, if he makes it to the practice squad, someone will sign him. Um, and a lot of people like disclaimer. I'm approaching this, and I know we started off rocky once again because I had to figure out where I really wanted to go with it. But he's the pick that a lot of people are like scratching their heads over. They're like, "Oh, we reached," but like I talked about with the Femi pick, Oladejo, the offensive linebacker, you get to a point in the draft where you're selecting who's the guy with the traits that we need, who's most versatile, who has the intangibles, and with the remaining selections for them, it's very easy to see that when they're looking at the traits remaining, what wide receivers are 6'1", 195. What wide receiver can run a 4.3, 4.40? What wide receiver can play every wide receiver position? What wide receiver can also be a returner? What wide receiver is also an upstanding individual off the field? So these are thought processes that the average fan or quote unquote expert on your radio waves, on the airwaves, they're not computing, because this is the true process of how teams view it. And throughout my process, which I didn't get to do my intro because I'm supposed to intro, that's probably what I was halfway thinking about, was introducing this video as if it's the first time of you seeing me. By the way, I'm Charles Barnes. Nice to meet you. Been doing this for over a decade. PFF certified data analyst. Been in recruiting offices, offered high end jobs in other areas that I wasn't able to take because I'm a family man, um, and I'm actually raising my children. So didn't take some higher end social proof jobs that I'll have you guys giving me my credit that I deserve. But anyway, I digress. We're talking about Chimere Dike and the process of selecting a player, right? Why at 103? You should have got Alec Ayomanor, or should I say his name correctly? Because everybody who's supposed to be the experts are butchering Alec Ayomanor's name. Why didn't I would prefer if they swapped those two. Io Manor should have went at 103, but Io Manor doesn't do the things that I just said that DK can do, which is play all receiver positions, adds return ability. You know, Io Manor is definitely an upstanding individual for all that we know. But yeah, DK is the versatile pick. That's his role. Like I said, in a talented, high-profile wide receiver room, he would be a nuisance because of his speed traits. He was 11.7 yards per return. He has run block prowess. I think that's his hidden trait. He's incredibly gung ho in the run game. Um, so here's the ugly. He's inconsistent, lacks a natural feel for the wide receiver position. What I mean by that is like run after catch. He's not waiting for blocks to set up. He gets the ball. He tries to get his yardage, right? There isn't any natural open field creativity to his game necessarily. And those things can be developed, hopefully. So he has special teams coverage. So he also provides as a cover guy on special teams, as I've already said, whether it be a returner or a gunner earlier. And then I also said drops or alluded to drops. So he does have an average of 4 drops over the last, I think, couple of years. That's a little bit too high for the amount of times that he's targeted. But I mean, I understand all of the Tennessee Titans picks so far. I totally get it. This isn't this draft so far, and I've already said that the Titans are getting a lot of guys that's cut from the same cloth as me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that not to be like, oh, look at me or making it about me, but like people that love football who know how to articulate themselves sometimes, right? And just are gamers, and these are gamer type of people, and I think that raises the floor, right? And I haven't even mentioned this, which I try to make it a theme, was that the theme of this draft to me for the Titans is they're trying to get athletes with workable traits, with good personalities. Yes, some of them are coaching dependent and situation dependent, but it's the intangibles of the players that's going to elevate them. And then I think everybody has a high floor. So the retention rate from this draft is going to be more than likely high because most of these guys can play special teams. They have staying power because they're high character. So I really do like the picks thus far from the Tennessee Titans. And for those that know me, they know that after this series of going over what the Titans did, I'm going to go over what I would have done. But at the same time, I like what they've done thus far, or I understand the thinking. Now, obviously, we don't share a single pick but Cam Ward. We got close with this next pick or the next couple picks coming up. I'll share that we got close there. But yeah, I mean, I like the pick. I totally understand it. There's no reason to make this video any longer. Oh yeah, I am doing something to these videos, adding my floor, middle, and ceiling. If I don't have a middle, you'll know of NFL comps for these players. So my floor for Chimere Dike is Bo Melton, who's been on a couple rosters. He's like wide receiver 4 or 5 in Green Bay right now, but a speedster. Plays on special teams as well, I believe. Just a guy that has the traits but hasn't gotten starter reps. And then his ceiling for me is Kenny Stills. If you remember Kenny Stills for the Saints, predominantly I think he played on the Texans a little bit and other teams like that, Dolphins. Just a speed guy that can stretch the field, and you can always expect a big play from Kenny Stills back in the day. And I think that you get so occupied with other receivers that you forget about players like Stills and DK.